Good morning, everyone. It's March the 13th, 2025. I'm going to do a little bit more on the last two videos that I put up. There's two more videos that I wish to put up, and I'm going to put an intro into them. And all these videos are kind of connected with the homeless in a way. So one of the videos here, and I'm going to talk about the first one here, and just a minute here, I just got to get the title of it. And this is on the transitional housing. And what I want to talk about is that our YMCA here in Ottawa had closed down. They were in the midst of selling the building. And they did have some rooms available and stuff before they decided to sell the building. So the building was intact, and it had been empty for I think since the pandemic, basically, or they shut it down right after the pandemic to sell it. And as I explain in the video that I'm going to put up, because of the housing situation and the homeless, they've decided not to sell a building and revamp it and put transitional housing in it. And it's a very, very good video. It's excellent, I find. It's putting in what I find is the requirements that I feel that is certainly needed as transitional housing and as a shelter at the same time. And from what I'm understanding from the video, that they have room for 290 people in the building with services to go, which is going to be excellent because, and they have various services available, and some of them including the life skills, which I'm all for. It's got mental health services right there, as well as addiction services, and it's going to be operational for 24/7, and it's got food services as well within the building, so people who are living there don't have to go out and overcrowd or outreach places where people go here to feed and that. So that should help relieve some of the stress on our outreach services or drop-in centers there where they go to eat. So that's a good thing. And of course, as it mentions in the video, there's 2,000 or 3,000 homeless, they figure, because of the last count in the fall there of homeless people. So that at least puts 290 people with shelter, and will hopefully relieve some of the pressure and the overcrowding at the shelters as well. And then the other thing is, the other second video that I'm going to be putting up is on the sprung structures are being canceled now that we've talked about. Now, what I understand the city is proposing now is that because the YMCA is opening up, that rather than, it's not necessary for the sprung structures, it's going to take too long to do something, but this is something immediate as well. So I think the city's making arrangements to make sure that people are going to be going into the YMCA again. And that's great, because I know that's not a super modern building, but I know that they tore down the old one, and this one I think was rebuilt in about the 1970s. So it's still very usable for space, and with the pool and everything in there, it's going to be great. This is one of the things that, as Julie has said, being on the street, that I've talked about as well, where she likes to go to the swimming pool and get some exercise, and she does a lot of exercise between walking and trying to get to one of the city swimming pools. So this is excellent for when you're trying to recuperate from addictions and stuff, get the physical exercise. So, and I think they have an exercise room there and everything. So I think that is going to be excellent when that certainly, and it will be relief for the services. And it also talks about the concerns as well, and of the neighborhoods and where the sprung structures were supposedly going to be put. And it's very good about what we're experiencing here in Lower Town, because it was going to be another 2 different wards where the sprung structures were originally supposed to go. And so this has put a lot of relief right now as well on the wards there. And of course, the city has talked about they're going to be buying 20 houses for transitional housing as well. and to put services in there. And there's other buildings apparently, according to the video, coming up, which may provide another 290 beds as well. So there's a number of changes coming in a very foreseeable future, because I know the building for the YMCA is ready, I believe, right now for occupancy. And then the other one that I'm not going to put up a video because I was on a Zoom call at one of my meetings this week earlier. And this was when I talked to you earlier on one of my videos about the 48 apartments being available and how long it was taking from the process prior to the pandemic. And they were still working on it over the winter. And apparently they're having a grand opening on the 1st of May, 2025 now. That's a definite date. And this is from the Shepherds of Good Hope here down in Lower Town. And so what ended up happening on that call, on our Zoom call, was our association here in Lower Town invited them to come into our monthly meeting on Zoom, and we had a lot of people watching from the outside as well as it was also being taped as well. So we had 3 representatives on the call from the Shepherds of Good Hope, as well as representatives from the other wards who are being affected with the homeless as well, and all the problems surrounding the homelessness, and the questions that they were able to ask as well, because one of them has 3 other Shepherd buildings that are working reasonably well, that were not bothering too many people, and then they tried to put in a 4th, and this, of course, I've had on previous videos where they got people in there and the whole thing was just ending up like we were in downtown. So there was here in Lower Town, so people have concerns, and I think when we had some agreements on some stuff on this after we asked the questions, and that certainly I know one of the questions, a very important question that was asked at the meeting from someone in one of the other wards, was that, well, especially in our ward, pardon me, it was our ward that asked it, was, is this going to make a difference on how many people we see on the streets? And they're wandering around constantly. So they went into, for us to understand what they were doing and how they do their transitional housing and that. And there's 8 floors to this apartment building. The bottom 2 apparently are all kinds of services, kitchen facilities. They're even addressing one of our problems down here, because we've had homeless people have no place to go to the bathroom, basically. So they're putting in a bathroom there for the homeless to go in and go to the bathroom there on the 1st floor, apparently, of this building. So they will, hopefully that will help relieve some of that problem as well. They're also putting an outside court, basically, where people can sit in that, so they don't have to go and sit all over the streets and that. They can gather in their little court there. So this is going to be coming up as the 1st of May, so that's a piece of good news in that respect that I wanted to share with you. And there was some other things that we did agree on, and one of the other things was that we were going to agree that we were going to come back and invite them back in another 6 months on an updated meeting with them, and talk to them about how we've seen it over the spring and summer, and this will be in the fall, what kind of improvements they are. And one of the managers there definitely believes, like we believe, that there should be community consulting in this, and it should be based, and one of the other things we were thinking of, and was mentioned too, that because we have so many complaints, that can we have some way, a system of how we can complain to them when there is a problem, so we can deal with it that way as well. And I'm sorry, my other phone's ringing there in the background, but I wanted to explain some of what was going on here, which is very good. So we're looking at, hopefully, and this was major concerns as well in some of the other wards, definitely coming up with how are they going to do it. Some they're just really angry because of what had happened in their ward as well. And one of the things that I think is going to be, one of the other things I find is that with the shelters, because they're a non-profit and that, they seem to be in competition with people's lives, because they're in competition for the funding, because they rely on not only government and city and provincial funding, they also rely on funding from private functions that and raffles and whatever they do to get funding for the building to do all the stuff. So they seem to be in constant competition, of course, for the dollar. And it's, it's like you're kind of gambling with people's lives, and that's not right either, because everyone has the right. And, for these shelter services, that they're gambling with people's lives. And it's got to the point where, for myself, I know I've been in the shelter system myself, but now that I'm on the outside looking in, it's starting to look like they're trying to run it more as a business. And you can't run people like a business. That does not work. You have to look after people like they're human beings, and you have to work together. And that's why I'm saying that this is why it's a collaboration between the whole entire city. All the wards need to collaborate with each other. The ward within where the shelter is needs to collaborate with the shelters to get somewhere, so that we can get these people who need help the help that they need, and suggestions that are going to be solid. And if it's some short-term suggestions, fine, but we also need to work on long-term suggestions. So this is where I have always talked about the Canada Goose and the shared leadership. We all need to work together. This is what shared leadership is. We all work together as a community. And because what's going to happen, and I see it within the system, that as Julie and I have said, you have mentally ill, you have seniors, you have people who have addictions. We all have different problems, and they all need to be separated in separate buildings. And of course, the Shepherds tried to explain that they were putting non-violent people, basically trying to put them back in the shelter, so we are not getting the graffiti. For example, they take a paint spray can and spray a building with all graffiti all over it, or smash windows constantly on the stores down here. So what I'm seeing is as we work our way through this on the long term, people that can be helped and want to be helped, and people are just simply being with the rate of inflation and rent controls on and that, and being forced out of their homes and rent evictions and stuff, they will be the ones probably first that will be getting the homes and that. So the ones who are addicted and refuse to get help and treatment, this is what they've done. But with other cities and stuff, we've seen where the shelters have been placed outside the city limits, basically. And the people that can be helped can be certainly living in the city limits with no problem. They can blend in with us, and we can work with them that way. But the ones that don't want to work with us, I think what's going to come down in the end is a shelter is going to have to be built on the outside of the city for them. So they still get all the services that they need. They're still treated like human beings. It's not like they're locked in jail or they're locked in a mental institution. They can have the amenities that the rest of us have, but they have supervision. They have and maybe going on day trips, but they are supervised, stuff like that. I think that's what's going to come down in the end. This is what I'm seeing possibly what's going to happen long term, because we cannot have our neighborhoods turned upside down, broken into, being threatened, stabbings, etc., and the list goes on. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's in the future, how we work together. It's a good piece of news, and it's we're being forced to work together, and I think it's to get somewhere so that we have a civilized society here where everyone is taken care of, and that's the way it should be. Everyone has a right to medical treatment. Everybody has the right to be treated as a human being, even those who have the addiction problems, because it is an addiction, and that's a medical problem, and that needs to be resolved. And we also need to work at resolving the fact that we need medical workers that are in short supply as well. So there's a lot of things that we're working on, and if we work on it together, long term, we're going to come out of this. So I'm going to leave it there for everyone today. I just wanted to give you a little bit of hope today as well again. And so everyone, take care, be safe, watch your surroundings, and we'll talk again soon. And bye-bye. Take care.